Okay, so today we are going to start our overview of the student handbook. So please get out your agenda. And when you get your agenda out, you are going to be flipping to page 2 at the very beginning of your agenda. Page 2. The top of page 2 says Student Handbook for Holt Middle School. And the very first thing that's talked about is academics, which is a huge part of why we're here at school. We're here to learn academics. Okay, so underneath academics talks about your agenda, and that's the book that you should have sitting in your hand right now. Okay, agendas. Good organizational skills are essential to student success. One of the primary tools to help your child be organized and successful in school is the student agenda. So that basically says good organizational skills. So if you're organized, you're more likely to be successful and for school to be a lot easier for you. And the tool that you have in your hand, your agenda, is going to be very important in that success. Students are to carry an agenda with them at all times. So that means if you go to the bathroom, you take your agenda. That means that if you go to the library, you take your agenda. It means when you come to class, you take your agenda. It probably should be the first thing that you pack into your backpack each night for the next day. It is something that must be with you everywhere you go here at Holt Middle School. Now, there will be times where your teachers will tell you to leave your agendas behind, and that, of course, is up to your teacher's discretion or Mr. Morningstar's directions. But unless you know otherwise, that agenda goes with you. Also, agenda pages are not to be torn out. So I have students every year that shove their agendas in their backpacks, and pages always get torn out by accident. And accidents happen. But it's very important that accidents happen very seldomly with your agenda. And if something like that does happen, you need to go to your advisor and you need to speak to them about that immediately. If a page is torn out and it's shoved in the bottom of your backpack, get it out and show it to your advisor, and hopefully they can help you get that back into your agenda. Here's why. Your advisor should have already told you that when you break a rule in a classroom, you can be given a W. For instance, say I have a Susie Q in my classroom, and Susie's a very talkative girl, and I'm giving directions, and Susie's talking while I'm talking. I might ask Susie a couple times and remind Susie to please stop talking while I'm giving directions. But after a few warnings, Susie is going to get a W. And what I would do is write into Susie's agenda W, and then I would write talking while the teacher's talking, or talking while teacher is giving directions, or simply not following directions. 5 of those W's, how many? 5 of those W's can keep you from going to our reward party every 3 weeks. Okay, so if you have missing pages all over in your agenda, that tells your teachers that, first of all, you don't care about your number one important tool for academic success, and it also shows your teachers that you might be hiding W's. That's a very dishonest thing to do. So if we see missing pages and agendas and we have not been, nobody came up to their advisor and showed them that there was a crumpled up piece that accidentally came out in your backpack, or if there wasn't a prior discussion that may have helped, I'm sorry, but you will be missing that reward party. And we've had some really, really good students this last year miss reward parties because of missing agendas on reward party days, or because they were missing several pages of their agenda, or even scratched out W's, which is a big no-no. It's a very dishonest thing, and we think that Holt Huskies are the best, most honest, and academically successful students on the planet. So we want to keep with that tradition and make sure that all of those agenda pages stay in the agenda. Yeah, it's really important. And agenda procedures. So what to do with your agenda? Well, A parent is to check and initial his student's agenda every night. Doesn't mean Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Doesn't mean Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday and maybe Friday. It means every night. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I even have students who have parents that like to sign for Saturdays and Sundays. They just do it. And they're to verify that the student has completed the homework for the next day. So I always tell my students, if there's not a signature and you're not getting homework done, that's a double whammy. You'll get one W for that, but when I call home and tell them that our grade isn't as high as it should be because we're not doing homework, and then mom sees that you're also not having your agenda signed or you're not fulfilling another responsibility, that's a big deal for parents. So make sure that you're doing your homework, and if you're having trouble with that, be taking that agenda to mom and dad and having those conversations so that we can open that conversation with your teachers as well. It's very good to have that line of communication open between your parents and your teachers, and using that agenda is one of the easiest ways for us to do that. Parents may also use the agenda to write notes to the teachers. It is the student's responsibility to bring the note to the teacher's attention. So your mom and dad are more than welcome. I urge them to write me notes, even if they want to say, hey, what's up, how are you doing? I am totally okay with that. Love it. But if you don't come and show me that note, and mom comes to me and says, why didn't you respond when I was asking you about Johnny's grade? Or why didn't you respond when I was asking you about Lindsay's missing homework assignments that I'm seeing online on Grade Viewer? I'm going to come to them and say, I didn't get a note. You may have written a note, and I definitely wanted to see that note if I knew it existed, but I didn't get it because your child didn't share that with me. So if your parents are going to be writing a note, please, please, please be responsible and show that to us because it is very important for your parent, and it is very important to me and your other teachers that we get that message. Okay? Just like when you have a message for somebody, you want to make sure that they get that message as well. It's really important to you. It's really important to us as well. Agendas will be used as hall passes. A student may not leave class without it. A lot of teachers, especially Ms. DeSoto and I, we've talked about this, how we ask that you fill out your agenda to go to the bathroom, to go to the library, to go wherever it is that you need to go. But more often than not, I'm not going to signature it for you. I'm going to say, yes, you may go, and you may head on out with your agenda that has been filled out. But more often than not, I'm not going to sign it for you because that just takes extra time. But if you are out of my classroom and I notice you walking back in without having shown me your agenda and asking me to go, or if I get a phone call from somewhere else in the building that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, or you're not where you told me that you were going, that's when we have a problem. So please make sure that you are filling out that agenda before you leave the classroom, for bathroom, for water, for anything, and then of course follow your teacher's procedures. They may like to sign it, or they may just send you on out like Ms. DeSoto and I typically do. And you'll get a feel for what it's like within the first few weeks. And teachers, of course, will give you some grace with that. We know that you are learning those procedures with every single one of your teachers, and we're very patient about that. Also, students will record their grades in their technology class or advisory and initial before the student returns the next day. So, a lot of times in my advisory, I pay my students for their grades, and I make sure that I write it in very nice and neat for their parents to see. So when they sign that night, they can see where their students are sitting. Also, your technology teachers, when they have time during class, or if they have time blocked off for that, they'll have you write those grades in as well. So even if you're in my advisory, if your technology teacher asks you to write your grades in, I'd ask that you do that again as well. It just makes it a little bit more personal when you guys are writing those grades in yourself. But in advisory, I have a lot of students and lots of husky bucks to hand out, so it's a lot easier for me to write it in. But technology, please make sure that you're participating in that as well. So that is it for the agendas. Very, very important tool. It's a very good tool to get familiar with, to get using from the very first day you come to Holt.